It's a pretty day out here. You know, apropos of nothing, I think the sexual revolution was a good thing. Women are people just the same as men and should be treated the same and have equal rights. Jordan Peterson, how the fuck did he get my number? Hello?
Here's something else that's worth pondering. You know, you talked about one of the advantages of the sexual revolution was the transformation of the idea that rape was a property crime, let's say, into a crime against the woman herself.
I mean, I didn't say that, Jeep, but I certainly do agree with it. It's a crime. It's not a fucking property crime. What's wrong with you?
And I would say, look, I have plenty of sympathy for that.
Sympathy's good. That's a start.
But I'm going to push back because, you know, this is all very complicated.
Okay, I don't know what you're about to say next, but I'm going to push back against your pushback. It's a rape, Jordan. It's not complicated. Someone assaulted someone without their consent, and that's illegal. It's uncomplicated.
Isn't it obvious to me that that offers women enough defense?
It isn't.
You know, and so the counter argument might be if untrammeled sexual access to a young woman is a crime, in order for that to be recognized as a crime properly, it has to be viewed as something that will bring the males on her side to her defense in principle.
You're saying you don't think it's enough that the woman has been assaulted to really dissuade men from doing it, that it has to affect the men as well. Is that what you're telling me? Because if you're saying that a man can't care about a woman being raped as being a violation unless it directly affects him, well, I'm going to go ahead and say that's just a self-report, Jeep. I know a lot of men, and they don't feel that way. If you do, the best thing you could do would be to shut your fucking mouth about it. Since we all know you're too smart to ever change your goddamn mind.
Now, maybe not.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
You could say, well, maybe we could set up a society where merely, quote,
fuck you,
transgressing the rights of a woman to say no is sufficient. But it's not obvious to me that that's sufficient.
Not obvious to you that that's sufficient. You know what? Trooper just got home off of his van, and Trooper knows that it's sufficient. My dog knows that it's sufficient. How do you not know this?
Like maybe sufficient means not only do you violate the integrity of the woman in a fundamental sense, but you enrage all of her male protectors.
Are you implying that it doesn't already? Like some woman you know gets raped, and unless it affects you financially, that doesn't piss you off? What is wrong with you? Trooper, do you hear this guy talking nonsense?
And then that's enough of a barrier, because God only knows how much barrier we need.
Most people already have a barrier, Jordan. It's not okay to assault people. What barrier do you need?
And we should stress that. The problem that women have in saying no once they're on the pill is that it's instantly personal.
Holy shit. You think that every woman that ever turned you down for sex just did it because she didn't want to carry your mutant offspring, right?
And that means the woman has to deliver a pretty hard blow. And that's especially problematic if she's somewhat potentially interested in the guy, right? How do I say no without hurting his feelings, alienating him, making him into an enemy, looking like a prude?
You sick fuck. You have literally put the entire impetus for being able to handle a no as a decent human being on the woman. Like, you think the dude's just automatically gonna fly off the handle? What would give you that idea, Jordan? Whether you're capable of it or not, whether you believe it or not, men are perfectly able to accept a no without becoming rapist monsters. I thought you were all about dudes taking personal accountability and cleaning their fucking rooms.
I saw this in my clinical practice all the time. You know, I had lots of women in my clinical practice who were abused serially.
Man, oh man, I can't wait for you to tell us how it's all the women's fault that they were assaulted.
And, you know, they were generally stunningly unsophisticated in their conduct. And I'm not trying to blame the victim.
That's literally what you just did.
I'm just saying that sophisticated women, and those are often those they've had a lot of good relationships with men, brothers and fathers in particular.
No wonder you're the big brain philosopher of the right wing. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Women who have good relationships with their fathers and brothers don't get raped. You hear all this, Troop? What you think about this?
This is all silly BS.
Sophisticated women signal to men who are getting a little pushy, in no uncertain terms, very early in the pushing game, that no is the answer.
Seems to me that inherent in your understanding of consent is the idea that when a woman says no, the man should be free to, what did you call it? Push? The pushing game? No means no, Jordan. When she says no, that's enough. Then again, you've been hounding your neighbor's daughter to marry you since she was 8 years old, which she finally did after 3 proposals. So I suppose if you had taken no for an answer, you wouldn't be married today. But I don't think you can equate a marriage proposal to a sexual assault, Jeep. Not in good faith. I mean, expecting good faith out of a man who claimed to wildly be an atheist, then worked his way back to believing in Jesus through the power of Disney's Pinocchio might be a little much. I'm serious.
There's a scene in Pinocchio where Geppetto wishes on a star, right? And what it means is he lifts up his eyes beyond the horizon to something transcendent, to something ultimate, because that's what a star is. It's part of the eternity of the night sky. And so he lifts his eyes up above his daily concerns and he says, what I want more than anything else is that my creation will become a genuine individual, right? It's a heroic gesture because it's so unlikely. And that catalyzes the puppet's transformation into a real being. And we start as puppets. And so the trick is to get rid of your goddamn strings. And you remember in Pinocchio, he faces a lot of temptations. One is to be a liar. The other is to be a neurotic victim. That's how he ends up in Pleasure Island, where he just about gets sold into the salt mines, turns into a brain jackass and sold to the salt mines because it's run by authoritarians. Well, okay, so what you do is you lift up your eyes and you say, look, I would like being to progress in the best possible manner. And that's best for me, best for my family, best for society, maybe best for the world. Simultaneously, I would like to attain that. Whatever that is, that's what I want. You commit to that. Then you tell the truth. And then you can tell if you're telling the truth. You can tell it physiologically. And so this is something to learn. You watch what you say, and you will find out that some things you say make you come apart.
Huh. Cool. Well, in the words of one wildly overesteemed former college professor,
stunningly unsophisticated.
But I think Trooper really summed it up best when he got home from school and heard me listening to you.
That's a bunch of nonsense, Jeep.